Hey guys, what's up? This is Cyclonic here, bringing you episode 12 of my design critique series. For those of you who aren't familiar with what this is, I basically go through a bunch of pieces that were submitted to me by the Twitter community, and I try and give my feedback on what I would do to make things better, just from the experience I've gotten working in esports and in general with graphics so far. Um, so, just to be clear, this is all, of course, my opinion on stuff that I think would make the piece better. Feel free to actually make the decisions yourself once you hear the feedback. But yeah, hopefully this will help a lot of you guys who have submitted and those of you who are just generally watching. So, without further ado, let's get into it. This is a header for Moody of Lakers Gaming by Jack. I'm loving the colors, the popular color scheme. I'm loving how it's being done around here. Everything fits well. Um, but I almost would want the same effect, maybe in a smaller way, replicated a bit over here, so that the header isn't just, this and then the text is kind of off to the side, like, hey, if you want to see it, you can. I'd prefer a more like balanced approach to it. But that could just be me. It's still nicely executed down here, in my opinion. A couple of things that I would change are the logo here is kind of just floating out in the middle of nowhere. I'm not sure what it's doing here. You have the Lakers Gaming text already here, and then you have the icon. You have them separated for some reason, and I don't know if there's a point to that. I'd either just remove the logo, or if you're going to put the logo, put it here, and maybe put like a number 20 over here or something, or I don't know, maybe move the text closer over here and put stuff on the right side to balance things out. But this right here is just throwing me off to kind of have it over here. Other thing I would do is I'd give the line, I'd lengthen the line to be the full length of Moody right here. I kind of always give to the largest common denominator when you're merging things together. That way it accounts for everything. So I keep the line, because this is the longer text, you align the line to this length right here. But other than that, the blending on the images is looking okay. There's a little bit cluttery here. I might spread these images out a little bit more, but overall though, like just on a first look, without going too nitpicky into it, I really like how the feel of the header that he gives me. He gives me like a very California-ish vibe. Maybe even throwing some Phoenix, but yeah, I like how this is looking. All right. This is a poster for Loading's design contest done by mindofinks. I like the vibe they're going for. It gives me that kind of like Brooklyn, like that kind of like grungy vibe that I really like. I like the players here, and I like the incorporation of the skyline. I'd almost want to do more with these guys, maybe fade them more into like some sort of backing here, and but that could just be a little too nitpicky. But I'd almost like blend them into a more background here, so this guy's clearly the main focus. And I'd also want to see if you could play with some lighting in the back here. It's just this part looks nice, and then these guys are just there. To me, it's still a very nice a nice composition, and I enjoy looking at it. But maybe even if you're gonna throw these hints of orange in here, you try to throw them in the back as well, and kind of even the piece out, give it some more balance. Because like I get that this is the focal point right here, but the focal point is so far down here that I would try to balance it out a little bit more. But I still like the piece. That was really well done. Maybe some, actually, now that I think about it, some kind of shadowing here, like on the arm a bit from the buildings would be nice. I think that might be what's throwing me off a bit, is that these guys could use a bit more shadowing to show that they're like really in the back of the piece. I think that's something that a lot of people tend to miss when they're doing these kind of things, is like you'd almost imagine there's a light source. It's kind of tough to tell where it is, but if there's light coming at him like that, then I would expect there to be a shadow over here. So yeah, that's a bit of my feedback there, but overall nicely done. This is a header by Truly Carter. On first glance, it's the lighting here is throwing me off. Like, this blue glow is really strongly blue, and if this guy is supposed to be as bright as it is, it should be. I feel like it should be casting a little bit more light. The light source at the back and this follow-up lighting is fine, but this part right here just kind of throws me off because it's almost just a bit too dark. And then I would also, the hue of this text, the color, I don't necessarily know where you're getting this like turquoise, this more greenish turquoise from. It doesn't, at least on my laptop, it doesn't really seem to match the more bluish, light bluish vibe you have going on. I think that would help to kind of change the hue for that. What I also think would help is if you made this text white to go with like a main blue and white color scheme, but then throw in these different color accents. I think that would help things a lot. Down here, I'm gonna keep saying this in all my critiques. If you're gonna put socials, you can. I don't necessarily know if they're necessary anymore. I don't know how many people go into headers to look at socials. But considering the amount of text you already have here, it might be better to just put the icons, and then that way you don't have, like, you know, the twitter.com and Snapchat are two different lengths. So to help the flow a little bit better, I would encourage just putting the icons there and doing it that way. Maybe even throw a little bit more stuff into the backing to make this a more complete piece. So yeah, those would be my critiques on this, I think. If you did the 3D rendering here and stuff, though, I do like that a lot. I do like that piece quite a lot. So, I'd almost encourage some supplementary lighting over here, because the Truly Carter text, the way it's lit up, doesn't make sense to my head given what the lighting is over here. So I think if you made some additional lighting here or something like that, it would make the banner, the header feel a little more complete to me and make more sense all around. So yeah. Alright, this one is another header. So it's an interesting blue and red. I guess basically the Cubs color scheme, which is done here. So I run into this issue a lot with my 2K League stuff because their color scheme is also blue and red. Never have I liked having red and blue right next to each other without either like a white or some sort of demarcator, some sort of, like, you know, color that would separate them. It tends to just, I have no other way to explain other than I just don't feel those colors go well together right next to each other. So that's one thing. There's also, for me, because these images aren't like faded in or like lower opacity, it's almost, it seemed, my eyes get drawn in a bunch of different directions almost before I even look at the text. And then to have the, like, with all these effects going on, to then have the text just be white and nothing else, it kind of just looks like different kind of stuff was put on, and no, you know, it wasn't really blended well together. So, for example, you have this, I guess it's like I don't know if it's saber, I don't think it's saber, but you have some sort of, like, flaring or stuff going on, and then I don't necessarily see that on the player. So already, this player seems to be kind of, different from the backdrop. And then you have this guy coming over the scene, but at the same time he's supposed to just be only part of this red portion because he's fully red. So that kind of throws me off a bit. And then to have it be blue here and then blue here and just have this red separator, if you're gonna have a separator like this, I would either make it a neutral color or switch this to a different color to make there be a point to it. So I think you have certain elements here to make it be a successful header, but I think they just need to be put together better. Because there's different points that just don't quite blend together well for me. I do like the Kenya text in the back, I guess, and the like this little effect over here, the cloud, like the smoke and stuff. That's all fine, but the usage of blue and red and how opaque your background images are, and then copying the same sort of effect styling to all of these portions, I think that's stuff you'd really need to work on with this header. So yeah, but I think a good start though, as far as getting elements together. So with that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this, learned something from it. If you have different feedback for these guys, or think that I should change my way of thinking on something, for sure, please feel free to tell me. Always encourage some good constructive graphics discussion, graphics feedback discussion, constructive criticism. So please be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and hit me on Twitter if you want to get your piece into the next episode of this series. So with all that being said, appreciate all of you tuning in. I'll catch you all later. Peace.